Hello again, MMA True Believers. I am Jason Burgos for Sherdog.com, and I am joined by a heavyweight veteran with a pivotal career opportunity ahead of him. On the heels of a highlight reel knockout of a top prospect in Tyrell Fortune in February, he returned to the Bellator cage on August 7th in the co-main event to face off with the premier name in the division in Matt Mitrione, and that man is Timothy Johnson. Mr. Johnson, sir, thanks for the time tonight to talk this big moment coming up.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
Now, before we even get into this co-main event fight, I want to go back to your win in February. You were one of the biggest underdogs on that entire card. Now, Tyrell Fortune is probably Bellator's top heavyweight prospect, but still, you have fought top-level competition. You fought in the UFC for 3 years. Yes, you've had some, first-round knockouts in a few losses recently, but they were to former champion Vitaly Minakov, former title contender Czech Congo, Junior Albini, another solid name. These are good fighters that you lost to. These aren't like guys on the come up. Going into that Fortune fight, did those betting numbers offend you at all? Considering the huge experience advantage you had over him, or you knew that, just how the business is and just how it can be sometimes, and you were just excited to shut a lot of people up?
Yeah, I guess I probably had a bigger chip on my shoulder than normally would. A lot of people and everything. I was just hearing down the grapevine. I kind of steer away from reading stuff on the internet and all that shit because I've been in the business long enough. Like people don't write nice stuff. The people who actually think nice thoughts don't write it. Everyone else writes it. It's always bad stuff. So you don't read it into stuff. But I felt like a lot of people forgot the type of guys I fought, and just because my two previous fights went south fast against very top competitors. Everyone for some reason just thought I was a can, like I wasn't a good fighter anymore, or I wasn't even legit. And I was just like, what the heck's wrong with everybody here? Look at my resume. I didn't. I mean, yeah. I did fare pretty well for myself, so I had a little bit of chip on my shoulder, and yeah, so I just kind of wanted to go out there and shut everyone up. And like you said, I've been in business for a fair amount of time, and I knew exactly what was happening. They were trying to make me a stepping stone, and I was not going to be a freaking stepping stone.
Does that kind of chip on your shoulder, does it affect your composure when you go into the fight? Are you a little more amped up? Are you trying to stay composed, not let the anger and the annoyance of it? Or it is a motivation and it's easier to keep your focus in that situation than people may think?
Probably definitely easier to keep focus. I'm not an angry fighter. I don't fight angry. Never have. I don't understand. Like I've seen guys in the back room warming up and they're just getting hyped up and like they gotta hate the guy. I'm like, man, you're in the wrong business if you're fighting because you need to because you're angry. I mean, it's a competition. I got nothing against the guy across from me. It's sportsmanship, but all it is it made me focus a little bit more.
For the fight itself, you had trouble landing a good shot on him in those first few minutes. You often kind of were explode forward, a combination, stuff like that, but he was quick enough to kind of dodge it, get out of the way, not take any serious damage. Did you make any adjustments halfway through, or did you just say, look, before I hit that, you hit that right hand that did just put him to sleep? You just stayed the course and you felt, look, my strategy's working. I'm close. I'm just not there. I just need to get a little closer. Like, what was the final setup to that? Just following the course, or did you make a little change?
I made a little change. There was a couple I was countering pretty well to his body. I mean, we rewatched the fight. I had a couple of really good body shots in there. I think I might have slowed him down actually a little bit. But there was a couple of those flurries when I was coming in that I only missed like by a quarter inch, like very solid shots that were just a little off. So I just knew I had to just kind of close the gap a little bit more, and something should land. And luckily it did.
You've been around the game for a decade now and have some important wins. It's weird to think of like a veteran beating a high-level prospect as like a shining career moment, but was it because of what we just talked about, the chip on your shoulder, people just kind of not forgetting what you've done, who you fought, the level you fought at? Does that win kind of, it's up at the upper echelon of wins you've had in the career just because of the background story and the build-up to it, the disrespect?
Yeah, probably. I would say so. And I mean, probably more so is because it's a turning point in like my career. Like if I would have lost that fight, I wouldn't have been re-signed. I mean, that's no joke. They would have kicked, because it was the last fight of my contract. I would have probably been back down on the regional level, or probably, I mean, I would, you know, honestly, I don't know if I got sent back down to regional level, if I'd want to keep keep doing this anymore at my age. But you know, luckily things turned around for me, and got a fresh start here. And you know, 35 is middle age for heavyweight, and so hopefully I can rattle off a couple more. Even if things don't go my way, I still think I have another time to, you know, put together one more last push too, even after that.
And it's interesting you bring up 35 because honestly, like 35 is almost young for heavyweight. It's almost like
Yeah.
it's almost prime years. So you know you're
Yep.
still growing into it, and you haven't had a good amount of fights, but not like 30 or something fights. That's interesting. You bring up that was the last fight in contract. How much did that add extra pressure? Did it feel like make or break? You know, was there did you feel like your career hanged on that fight? Not only just the disrespect and the betting and everything, but was that even more of a thing in your mind going into that fight? Like, I need to win this, or my life may change in a direction I don't want afterward.
Yeah, I did. I guess that kind of just goes in the back of the thing when I said with the chip in my shoulder. It was just more focus, staying in the moment, not letting myself get distracted anymore. Just kind of embracing the fight a lot, probably a lot more than I have the last couple fights, and just knowing having confidence in myself and to go do what I needed to go do.
And it's fascinating that this kind of trajectory is kind of changing, and this fight adds to it even more because that win has now springboarded you into a co-main event slot at Bellator 243 against a fighter who has almost an identical record as you, but gets much more fanfare than you have gotten. Now he's had some big ones, but he's had some big, key fight losses too. Without a doubt, you will be an underdog because Matt's the bigger name, the more well-known name for a lot of people. But do you feel that added intensity as you prepare? Because this is a huge spotlight for you. This is a great opportunity and a chance to really make up some of the ground maybe you lost when you had some setbacks like the Minikoff fight, the Congo fight. Is there like an added, like it almost feels like a championship fight because this is the kind of opportunity it is for your career?
Yeah, exactly. This is a great opportunity. And you know, when I came over to Bellator, I wanted to fight names like Czech and Minikoff and Congo. I didn't want to fight Minikoff on one day on 6 hours notice, but you fight a guy like that, you need a full training camp. And it's just the Czech one. I kind of choked that one and pissed it down my leg, and a learning experience, and I definitely understand the weight of this fight and what it represents moving forward for me. And yeah, I get it could be a great turning point for me. Get a win here, and it puts me back in line, and maybe 1-2 fights away from a title contention. Who knows?
And that's a crazy thing. I mean, I'm glad you brought it up too, that the Minikoff fight was like less than a day's notice, like randomly, just changed all of a sudden. And that's how crazy that fight is to take someone of that caliber on that notice. If you were win this fight and bring your profile even that much higher, is some vindication, a rematch with him, something you kind of almost want to call for next?
Yes, I do. I'd take either one of those fights again. What's the word? A fight with him again is not going to end any worse than my previous fight with him. So what do I got to lose? It's it was definitely a little more growing up phase for me after that Czech one, and I thought I had a Bellator kind of threw me a bone. They're like, all right, we'll give you a little more mid level, and all of a sudden I'm like, all right. And that day of the fight, it was like, it was like 8 hours before the fight when they asked me to fight Minikoff. So I was like, well, you guys are gonna give me one more if this doesn't go my way, right? They're like, yeah, it sounds good.
Is there almost a pressure in that because you mentioned like it was the last, it come on the last fight, I guess second to last. Are you concerned can you not say no in your mind, even though if you said no it would be completely understandable, just because, oh, maybe if I say no, they'll look at me as doing a favor. Maybe they release me, they have a grudge against me. Is there a fear not to say no in a situation like that?
No, I didn't look at it as being like a company man. I looked at it as just life. When opportunities come your way, take them. Otherwise, I went in there, it didn't go my way, but there's always a puncher's chance in anything. What if I landed one of those hooks and dropped him? Who knows where? I mean, I could. I don't think I would have been very happy with myself the following day if I didn't try to take the opportunity that was presented to me.
This matchup with Matt is a battle between two southpaws. Have you fought southpaws before in your career, and how much has like that uncommon scenario played into your training? Like, have you been able to prepare with as many southpaws in the gym? Because as you know, the coronavirus surges are surging out there out west. Have you been able to get as much training with southpaws as you would like?
Yeah, actually, I fought in London. I fought Daniel Olmanovsky.
Okay.
Yeah, but I can't pronounce his last name.
Yeah, I can't say it, but I know you're talking about.
Yeah. Fought him. He was a southpaw, and actually, I didn't even know he was southpaw leading up to that fight. So that kind of surprised me. But out here, I've had pretty much all my training partners have gone southpaw for me, and there's a couple of true southpaws that I flow like they're natural southpaws, so I'm getting a lot of good looks from a lot of different guys. Um, but it's definitely a little different. Uh, but yeah, it just goes back to I just got to go back into one of my old bad habits. I just always go left.
Now, while Matt has improved on the ground over the years and stuff like that, it's still a weak spot for him in his overall game. You have subs in your career, but no one's going to necessarily confuse you with like Khabib Nurmagomedov and that's the base of your style or whatever.
Yeah.
But is testing his ground game something you feel you really need to do, or at least threaten it just to mix it up with him? Or do you feel a confidence about this fight maybe ending up as just a straight up standing affair?
I'm not gonna force any takedowns. I'll tell you that. I learned my lesson with Czech. I felt like I had a wrestling advantage on Czech, and then I didn't let the fight develop, and I rushed in for a friggin' single leg and ended up getting clipped a little bit and fell over. You just can't rush them. Something presents itself, yeah, I'm gonna test it, but overall, I guess we'll be on our feet.
All right, now you will have a 7-year age advantage on Matt. It's surprising to realize he just turned 42 a few weeks ago. You just beat a man 5 years younger than you. Do you feel there is any kind of youth advantage for you in this fight? Maybe speed, maybe reflexes in moments where you guys are exchanging in the pocket, or even just scouting him. Do you feel maybe he's slowed on some level, or is he like heavyweights and he's kind of in prime years now?
Yeah, well, I think Matt's always been very athletic. Even his last few fights haven't gone his way, but he's still he's quick. He's got that little hop thing that he does. It's that you don't see at heavyweight. Like heavyweights don't generally move like that. We kind of plod forward, and he hops around like a bunny rabbit. But no, I don't think. I mean, I guess if you want to, if there's any aspect that you want me to say that maybe I think I have advantage, it might be like chaining things together in like grappling or clinch, like going from clinch to grappling back to grappling to clinch. That'd probably be the only thing that I think that maybe my advantage will be there, but still it's heavyweight and you can't predict anything in heavyweight.
Is that the lesson like you were saying with you don't want to just shoot in willy-nilly just like you did with Czech? Is maybe the lesson learned, if you do have a clear wrestling advantage here, maybe it's through the strike to the clinch to the ground that way, maybe not shooting the shot. The clinch is where you have a clear advantage to get him on the ground where he's pretty much more of a fish out of water.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. It's just seize opportunities when you have them. Don't force things. It's same. You wouldn't want to do that in a wrestling match. Force shots that aren't there. It's not gonna go your way. It's the same way in fighting. You don't want to force anything. You just kind of got to let the fight develop. But sometimes you got to take a little bit of a beating to wait for your opening. But when the opening happens, you have to seize it.